Hello, this is Photography Gamer. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm reviewing Valheim, which is available on PC and Xbox. Valheim is a sandbox survival adventure game developed by Iron Gate Studio. You play as a slain Viking who must prove their worth in order to enter Valhalla. The game can be played solo or in online modes. So what's the game like to play? Well, you start out by creating your own Viking, but the options are very limited indeed. So like most survival games, you start out in a strange new world with limited abilities and no gear to speak of. Early on, you'll be foraging for food, stones and wood to craft a few basic tools. Food is actually handled quite well. In most of these games you don't eat and you die within 5 minutes, but not here. Instead, food consumption and sleep are the key factors affecting your health and stamina status. Go several days without eating or sleeping and you'll die with one touch. But if you eat 3 meals a day and rest at night, you'll be in really good shape in the early stages of your adventure. So you've gathered up a few resources, now it's time to build your first home. To do this, you need a workbench and a hammer. Both are very easy to make, and once you have them, you can really lose yourself in the very user-friendly and creative building methods. You can place support beams, floors, different types of roofing, staircases, etc. Also the items, they don't take an age to make initially, as the resources are pretty easy to get hold of in the Stone Age for example, and for base building. As the days pass, you'll expand your base, you'll explore new areas, but more importantly, everything you do will add to your experience. The game doesn't feature skill trees, instead it opts for the Elder Scrolls type leveling system. The more you do a certain activity, the more XP you'll gain. And as your levels go up, those tasks will become second nature to your character, whether it be sprinting, using an axe, jumping, or stealth. It's the most common sense way of leveling in my opinion, and I wish more games did this. Okay, so what about the game world in Valheim? Well, it's a procedural type of world that, to be honest, it's a little bit too big for its own good. Yes, there are variable biomes with different weather, resources and foes, but the sheer scale of the lands can feel like a bit of a grind getting from A to B. Yes, you can make boats, yes, you can do portals, but yeah, the portals have their own problems, like you can't take metals through them at times. The areas though, I'd say the areas look nice, they're colourful, but they are quite repetitive in terms of their visual presentation. They don't have enough unique points of interest. Better buildings, better structures, maybe towns, cities or bigger castles would have been good. I'd say combat wise it's pretty good. The system is simple, it's very easy to learn. You can pick up and play it. It doesn't require 7,000 hours of play to develop a style in the combat. It's just like bash, 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 go. General enemies I'd say are more interesting, with skeletal enemies, these sort of swamp-like leeches, trolls, deadly mosquitoes, woodland creatures, ghosts, wolves. Like there's so many things trying to kill you. I mean, it's not Ark Survival Evolved level of danger, but it's still pretty dangerous. So you've gathered resources, you've crafted items, you've explored the lands, but due to the sheer scale of the world, you do need to get around. So making a boat is essential, and making a boat comes in the Bronze Age. Now, making a boat, it's both a highlight of Valheim and it's also potentially a game-breaking element, because the game encourages you to explore the enormous game world to get other things like different metals, etc., kiting, things like that, and you've got to sail to foreign lands to do this most of the time. But as you explore, you'll find dangerous new foes, and eventually what's going to happen is you're going to land on somewhere, you're going to get blindsided and you're going to die, you're going to lose your boat. You're going to lose all the good Bronze Age stuff that you'd spent fucking ages doing, which by the way, the Bronze Age in this game, it's got to be one of the most tedious sequences in a game. Oh my god. It's just the sheer time it takes to recover your items, and sometimes you just won't even bother because like the boat will be so far from your base and all your good stuff's gone. And I know a lot of people that have played this game who've got the boats, they've done the exploration, and then they just don't bother playing it anymore. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. Sailing, it's very fun, it really feels like an adventure, but it does screw you over and it makes you feel like, what's the point? Like I uninstalled this game about 5 times during my playthroughs. I didn't finish the game. This is based on about 60 hours, so I'm going to do another review in another 50-60 hours, but I think the game is fun, but it can be quite tedious. I mean, there's lots to do, the building's very good, I mean, the tutorials are terrible in the game. I think the game lacks really good explanations or tutorials. If you have to go on the internet to find out, that's bad design. Like taming, game really doesn't tell you much about that. But anyway, it's very playable, but it's flawed. Now, you know, I played it solo for the most part. It's workable. Playing with friends is obviously better and it speeds it up. I'd say it's a survival game that's really fun to explore, build a base, etc, etc, but beyond that, not really. Visually, very colourful, fun looking game world, very much in the Ark Survival Evolved mould. Menus and interface were fine, they did the job. The music is pleasant, it adds value, adds sound effects, the ambience is good. Okay, good and bad points. What's good? The crafting and building systems are simple and easy to use. Resource gathering for the most part is quite easy. Combat is simple and of the pick up and play variety. It has an addictive gameplay loop. The boats are very cool and a joy to sail around in, and it does feel like a genuine adventure as well as a survival game. Bad points, the game world is unnecessarily large, making for some mind-numbing segments. The boss fights were poor, certain resources are a massive bore to obtain, building doesn't really offer any substantial benefits in the long run, and the sheer scale of the world makes it feel like a chore. Okay, verdict. Valheim is a very playable and addictive survival game that's up there with the top 10 survival games in the genre. It's simple and intuitive in terms of building, combat is pick up and play, and it carries a real sense of adventure through the most of the game. But you know, it's not up there with the Forest because the end game is such a slog and so unattainable that I think most people will play it for about 50 to 60 hours, have a good time, and then go, yeah, I'm done, goodbye. And it's just a bit frustrating, the whole Bronze Age leading into the other ages. Once you get past Bronze Age, it's not as bad, but that kills the game for a lot of people. You know, and it's a very common experience. The boats, good for the adventure, bad for the experience. So, you know, I played this about a year ago. I thought it was about an 8.5 out of 10 in terms of like a quick preview. Now I've played it for about 60 hours, I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10. I'd say it's in the top 10, but it's definitely not the best survivor game you can get. So yeah, scoring, I would give Valheim 8 out of 10. That's after 60 hours of play. I'm going to keep playing it and I'll probably do a 100-hour review, 150-hour review in time. But for now, if that's all you need, 8 out of 10 from what I've seen so far. Very good, very playable, but deeply flawed as well. Okay, that's the review. Thanks for watching. This is Photography Gamer signing off. Thank you. Bye.